We are back this time with AFC South predictions. Just last week we did NFC South predictions, so if you want to check that out. But today we are going through what is probably the second worst division in football behind the NFC South.
Yeah,
it sucks. But I'm doing good. Bennett, how are you doing today?
I'm doing this outstanding. Thank you for asking.
Would we like to just jump into it? Let me pull these rosters up first. And here is our standings right off the bat. And we're going to start from the bottom. We're going to start with the Indianapolis Colts. We both have them at 4-13. And there's really not much to say about them. They got a rookie quarterback, bad offensive line, new head coach, weak receivers, and a weak defense. 4-13.
I would like to say that I really did like their selection of Josh Downs. I think in the third round was an absolute steal. I had him going 31st to the Chiefs, but obviously for some reason he fell all the way down to the third round. So I really like that pick because I actually really dislike the Colts receiving core. Alec Pierce as your wide receiver 2 is not a sexy wide receiver 2 at all, in my opinion.
Yeah, and Alec Pierce and Michael Pittman are almost the same receiver. Pittman is like good, but I don't know if I'm not very comfortable with him.
I don't think he's a wide receiver 1, yeah.
And then with Quentin Nelson, I mean, like this offensive line would look really good like 3 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
But they just fell off the face of the earth last year, largely because of Quentin Nelson and injuries and whatnot.
Yeah.
Defensively,
they've got a few guys I like, but
their secondary is pretty poop. I mean, I like the Julius Brins pick. Like, I think they crushed the draft.
Yeah, absolutely.
But Shaq Leonard is like Shaq Leonard and DeForest Buckner are the only guys that I'm looking at on this defense and be like, yeah, those are good players. And I mean, they're really good players, so that's good. Like Kwity Paye.
Yeah, I kind of like Kwity Paye.
I liked him coming out, but
have 6 sacks. That's it.
I have never heard, and call me a casual all you want, but I have never heard of EJ Speed.
Yeah, I was just looking at that too.
And so it's like the roster isn't good. I do like the Shane Steichen hire. They hired Shane Steichen, right?
Mm-hmm. I think he's going to help develop Anthony Richardson really well.
And then Richardson, I don't know how to feel about him for this year, if he's even going to start. Right now they have Minshew listed number 1 on the depth chart, but I'm sure at some point in the season, probably like by week 5, Anthony Richardson's going to get a start.
I'm against throwing a QB into the fire, but in Anthony Richardson's case, he has so little like actual games played that I think you just need to start in week 1 and just go from there. Because he has so little experience in starting, like that's actually something I was concerned about him with. Like when he was coming out, I think he's literally started like 15 games.
Yeah, I mean, I like him. I think he has, and it's pretty consensus that he has the highest ceiling in the class. Pretty low floor though. So if he goes in there and with a weak receiving core, with a weak offensive line, that's pretty hard to just figure out like immediately.
Yeah.
The schedule is not the toughest.
Mm-hmm.
I have them 1-5 in the division.
I do too.
There's not much to like about it, and I feel like this is a really boring start to the video because there's not much to say other than they're not that good.
Yeah.
So to move on, to refresh everyone's memory, do you want to go Titans or Texans first? Let's go Titans. Do you want
to? Okay. You can start.
Wait, did you have them at 9-8 or 8-9? I feel like I messed yours up.
No, I have them at 8-9.
All right, good. Titans. I don't like them. Their receivers are bad and their
Mhm.
quarterback is bad. And that's not a very good recipe for success. I think Derrick Henry is kind of past the point where you can say, "Hey, Derrick, go win me that game." Now, obviously, he was injured last year, so I don't know that for sure. But that's now
Yeah.
2 years in a row that injuries have kind of been holding him back, and he
Mhm.
wasn't as dominant when playing last year. I still think he's really good, um, but he's what is he like 30?
Derrick Henry.
Yeah, he's like
He's 29. Yeah, he's gonna be no, he's gonna be 29 throughout the whole season.
yeah. I mean like Tannehill is. I used to think he was underrated. Now it's kind of like, all right, dude. I know you're throwing to Kyle Phillips and Traylon Burks. Traylon Burks, I think, can be good, but I don't
I
think
think he'll
he.
break out a little bit.
I don't. But like breakout is such a.
Well,
I don't
not
know if
necessarily
breakout is
break
the
out.
word.
Yeah,
Yeah.
have a actually decent season.
Yeah, like I think he's a guy who can go get you 900 yards, but I don't think
Hmm.
he's a consistent 1,000-yard receiver.
Yeah,
And then the offensive line, like I mean, Derrick Henry is regressing, and the offensive line is so bad. I
other
really
than
like the
Peter.
I really like the Peter pick because it helps that. And I think Petit Friere was a pick last year.
The
So
Andre Dillard
maybe,
signing is a little helpful as well, I think.
yeah. I mean, like it's okay. Like they're nice pickups, and you can
Yeah.
hope for progression, but it's still going to be a bad offensive line,
Hmm.
and so that offense is going to be really shaky, as it always is. Like the offense is
Yeah.
never really consistently good there. But then you look at the defense, and the defense is another year older. Jeffrey
Hmm.
Simmons is sick. He's really good. Um, Byard is he's not as good as maybe he once was, but still good. Like that's kind of like the story behind this Titans team. They've just been perpetually like just running it back, except for
I
his
I
dad.
really like that defensive back room, to be honest. I am hoping that Caleb Farley can like actually do something though.
Yeah, dude, they just have a
Um,
bunch of like what ifs. Like what if Christian? Like
Roger McCreary is pretty nice, to be honest.
yeah, I mean, but it's a bunch of guys who I mean, Sean Murphy Bunting's good. I don't know why they have Roger McCreary listed above him on the depth chart. Um,
It's probably just ESPN.
yeah, but Fulton and Farley are two guys that have been pretty disappointing throughout their careers,
Hmm.
and have injury problems. McCreary, I don't know much about him. I know that he was a second round pick last year, and I wanted him, but I haven't
Yeah,
really. The linebackers are tough. Arden Key is okay. Um, yeah, I mean it's the same defense we've been seeing, and
yeah,
it's the same offense we've been seeing minus Ben Jones and AJ Brown. So regressing defense just by virtue of age, and
yeah.
regressing offense by losing players and age. It's like Vrabel and Jeffrey Simmons and Derrick Henry. You can expect them to win like 3 games by themselves, but
Mhm.
I can't see them winning 8, 9 games like a lot of people have them.
I I think if they can, and this is a what if is, but it's if they can sign D Hop, it's gonna elevate them quite a bit. Not a lot, because this isn't the D Hop of old. He's like 33 now, right?
Something like that.
Yeah, so he's not gonna be what he was before. But if you can have him and then have him with Traylon Burks, and he can help Traylon Burks progress as a player, that I think that would be really beneficial. I don't think Ryan Tannehill is an awful quarterback. I just don't think he's a great one. I think he's decent to good. Um, I really like their Tajay Spears pick in the draft. I think that's gonna help take off a lot of the work from Derrick Henry. I really hate the Will Levis pick, to be honest with you. That was really confusing to me why they would trade up for him,
Yeah,
especially
yeah. We didn't
with
talk about it.
especially with how reports are coming out that Malik Willis is progressing really well in training camp. It's just like, what do you like? You just wasted a second round pick when you could have you could have stayed where you were and gotten a receiver. but you took
I mean,
a quarterback you didn't need.
in a vacuum, I like the Will Levis pick because I like Will Levis and he was
Mm-hmm.
good value. But it's like I feel like for the Titans, it was get your receiver. If Tannehill sucks again, throw Willis in there. Hope
Mm-hmm.
that he progresses. If not, if you don't like what you see, you're probably bad enough to get a guy this year.
Yeah.
And I've been pretty vocal about not liking the 24 draft class is good, so let's just get a QB then.
Mm-hmm.
But this is one of those cases where you don't have the team to be like, okay, let's just build you up. Because by the time Will Levis is ready to start, the team's going to be much worse.
Yeah.
And so then you have, by then, probably a 24-year-old Will Levis starting on the second year of his deal, and you have 3 years to get him a good team on his rookie deal.
Mm-hmm.
Or no, 2 years because he's a second round pick. He doesn't have that
Yeah.
5th-year option.
Yeah.
I mean, it was weird. I mean, I still like Levis, so the pick shouldn't be that bad if he turns out well.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't like the team. You have him going 8 and 9.
Mm-hmm.
Where do you think they get their breaks on the schedule? Like, how do you think they stack up against teams like Pittsburgh? What are some other average like the Saints? Like, do you think they win those games?
I had them beating the Saints. I just really don't like that Saints roster at all.
Mm-hmm.
I had them beating Pittsburgh as well, but that could go honestly either way because Pittsburgh, they're both really well coached teams. I think they're two of the best coaches in the NFL. It can honestly go either way. It's probably going to be a scrappy game. I think the biggest win streak I have them having is 2 weeks, the whole season. And that's against Pittsburgh and the Bucs.
I have it against Panthers, Colts. Their schedule is tough because the way I predicted it, I had them playing 11 games versus winning teams. That's tough. And then, I mean, you've got the Chargers, the Browns, the Bengals, the Ravens, all before your bye week, and then a tweener team in the Saints, and a divisional game. It's just like I forget who it was last episode, but a bunch of tough games before the bye week. And going into the bye week, probably a little bit demoralized because I have them 1-0. I have them 1-5 going into the bye.
Yeah.
Their only win coming against the Saints because I do think the Colts win that game. It's a rough schedule and a rough team. I don't like it.
Yeah.
Do you have any more thoughts?
The defense is getting older, but I think it's good. I like Tyjae Spears, Treylon Burks, Derrick Henry, but when one of your starting wide receivers has 78 yards from last season, that's a little concerning in my opinion. Not to be a box score watcher, but it's just kind of like you got to make some moves, dude.
I mean, the wide receiver 2 is Westbrook Kine.
Yeah.
Like, I would like it. Like, I have them going 4-2 against the winning teams, or against the losing teams. That is, because I think their physical play style would just beat up on worse teams, obviously. But yeah. Next is my favorite non-Vikings team in the league, the Texans. I have them 9-8. Bennett has them 7-10. And I'm not going to go too in-depth on the Texans simply because within the next week I will be posting a video on why the Texans rebuild is and looks so good. But I will just go over their depth chart, and Bennett can give any thoughts that he wants.
Okay.
So you lead the way.
Oh, I go first? Okay. So the way the Texans rebuilt is probably the perfect rebuild in my opinion. I don't know if I've said it on here before, but I really think that the last thing you need to get for your team is a quarterback. You need to improve your offensive line first. You need to get a running back, and then you get a receiver for him, and then you draft your QB. Um, a lot of teams are either looking for their franchise defensive end or their franchise quarterback, and the Texans got both of those back to back in this year's draft. I love the Tank Dell pick. I think he's really underrated. I honestly don't, I could care less about his size. Um, I hated the narratives against CJ Stroud of him being an idiot and that his draft stock was going to fall. I knew he was QB2 the entire draft. I loved the trade for Shaq Mason, and I love that they kept Laramie Tunzel. Um, Will Anderson Jr. is an absolute dog. Um, I think Derek Stingley Jr. is going to improve a lot this season. And I like the Shaquille Griffin signing. I think that's a little underrated. A lot of the defense is vets that are names that you'd recognize from a couple years ago, but I still kind of like that. I think that they could still be good. I have them being 7-10, which is decent, I'd say. You have a first year head coach, a first year quarterback. It's gonna be a tough to adjust. I don't think they're gonna go to the playoffs, but I think next year they will make the playoffs.
Yeah, I don't. They're not going to make the playoffs. Like I'm high
One
on them,
thing
but they're
I
not going to
do
make the
hate
playoffs.
about what they did was the Noah Brown signing because I don't think he's good and he lost me multiple fantasy last year. So
I mean, you were starting
just,
Noah Brown. That's your problem.
just wanted to put that out there.
Straying away from like the actual like signings and rebuild part and just like looking at the roster because again, video about the Texans soon. Like you look at this team and usually with a team that just picked second in the draft, um, you're thinking like that's not going to look that good. And of course, they had a lot of money to spend this offseason. Um, but just having vets like Jimmy Ward and Shaquille Griffin, along with Jalen Petrie and Stingley, who I think are both going to be very good. Petrie was already good last year. Um, D'Amico Ryans is literally the perfect head coach for them. Guy who I wanted last season for the Vikings, and their offense outside of receiver looks really nice. Now there is a guy that I want to see him get. You could probably guess. I'm not going to say it yet though. Um, but yeah, I mean this season hinges on Stroud, and they don't have to be good this season. But I
Mhm.
do think looking at their schedule, the schedule is pretty light. And I see them taking care of business against not a bad, but a not so good schedule.
Yeah. I'm excited to see some John Mechie this year. And I didn't even notice that they drafted Xavier Hutchinson until right now, which I think that's also they got him in the 6th round. That's a pretty good pick too. So I really liked their draft this year. I think it was really solid.
Yeah. Casario was cooking after a lot of bad years.
Mm-hmm.
Let's close out with the Jags. I mean, there's really not much to say about the Jags.
Yeah.
They're good, and they're going to be good. Trevor Lawrence, I don't want to say he's going to take the step just because I think he might have already taken it at the end of last year. Like he's pretty damn good, but I think he'll like further prove himself. And Calvin Ridley, Christian Kirk, that's a sick duo. The defense
Zay Jones is
nice
also pretty sick in the slot as well.
He's all right. Yeah, I mean, they're just a good team. I'm trying to find the depth chart right now. ETN was nice before he got injured last year. And Evan Ingram had a career year. And so the offense is electric. They drafted Anton Harrison because Cam Robinson got suspended. I don't remember why.
I think he's like to drugs or something.
But yeah, what they did was they spent money on the offensive line last year and Brandon Scherf, all them. I like it. And the defense is a little bit underwhelming, but it's good. Like Tyson Campbell is really good. Trayvon Walker Like people just seem to forget he exists. Like when was the last time you heard anybody talk about Trayvon Walker?
Well, actually, pretty recently, just because I was looking at some Trayvon Walker stuff. Yeah, but he is, I feel, extremely under, because you'd think you'd hear more talk about the number one overall pick throughout the season, but we didn't really hear anything. But ultimately, he's more of a project player anyway. We knew that when he was drafted. That's what every single narrative about him was, is that he's going to be a project guy, and it's going to take a year or two for him to really come out.
And being that project, it's almost good that we didn't hear about him because more than likely, if we did, it would have been bad. But Josh Allen, I didn't even say Josh Allen. Josh Allen is really good. And so, I mean, it's a well-built team, and I don't think, like, people are overrating the team for sure. People have them winning 12, 13 games, being like a contender. I don't think they're going to contend for a Super Bowl this year. I don't think they should be expected to, because it's still kind of an incomplete roster, but the roster is good enough to win 10 games and win the division. That's for sure.
And they have a pretty tough schedule too. Not super tough, but they play quite a few good teams.
Yeah. I mean, playing the NFC South is going to make any good schedule.
Yeah, it's going to inflate. Yeah.
But yeah, Bills, Chiefs,
Bengals, Ravens.
Yeah, that's
49ers.
I mean, yeah, they're playing all the best teams in the league.
Yeah.
I mean, I have them beating the Bengals.
I do not.
I have them. Where are the Ravens? I have them beating the Ravens. I have them going 2-2 in those games.
I have them having a really bad record versus winning teams. I have them going 2-6 versus winning teams, but I have them going 8-1 versus losing.
I have them 5-5 versus winning teams and 6-1 versus losing.
I'm really high on all those, on the Ravens, Bengals, 49ers, and Chiefs this year. Chiefs I'm always going to be high on as long as Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes are there, but I can't say that much. I don't want to spoil the records for the other teams.
Yeah. That might conclude it. So we'll bring this back up. Jags 10-7. Jags 10-7. So the Jags are gonna win the division.
Yeah.
And then we're pretty lockstep on everything else. Like give or take 2 games on the other two. So yeah, who did we have? I had the Falcons winning the division. You had
I had the Panthers. Yeah.
Okay. So we agree on this one. Which division are we gonna do next?
Should we do a fun one?
Yes.
Are we going AFC? Are we going AFC or are we gonna go NFC? Because AFC. Actually, either of these divisions. Let's do the East next. But which conference?
Do you want to put up a poll on the twit?
Yeah, we can do that.
It'll get like 18.
It's okay.
But
it's okay.
We want input from our fans, you know?
Yeah.
I'm gonna put up the poll right now.
Okay. Also, I just want to bring up something before we end this, because I just found out about this and I think you're gonna think it's a little funny. ESPN gave the Vikings a 37% chance to make the playoffs this year. I just want to hear your opinion.
That would mean that we have a lower, like 37% chance to make the playoffs. That means they have us at lower than 30% to even win the division. Because that's factoring wild cards. That's just like bad.
Yeah.
We just finished recording our AFC South predictions. Which division do you want to see us predict next?
No, we have to do AFC East or NFC East. Only those 6. Those are the fun ones right now.
So I put 4 of them in there, or just 2? Just the AFC East, NFC East?
Yeah.
All right. I tweeted it. I'm going to go retweet it.
Alright,
You, the viewer, go to @idiotstalkball on Twitter and check out the poll. It's probably going to be done by the time this is uploaded, but you can expect within the next week, as previously mentioned, a video from me about the Texans rebuild, how much I love it. And what video are you going to be doing, Bennett?
top 10 2024 draft eligible QBs.
Let's go.
Yep.
But yeah, we're done. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this kind of awkward video.
It's just such a boring division. Like I'm glad we started with the worst ones because I don't want to end with them.
I actually want to check out like the last one for it being such a bad division. I think it got like our most views since the first episode.
That's fine.
I mean, it's not a lot. It only got 20 views, but
that's better than nothing.
More than we've gotten on like any of our other ones.
Yeah.
But yeah, we out of here. Peace.